Hi there, I'm E.A. Tischler, founder of the New Horizons Golf Approach. Today, I want to discuss with you the concept of sustaining the line of compression. As many people believe, sustaining the line of compression is the secret to great ball striking in golf. I've set up some lines today to help us understand what this line of compression is and how we can maintain it as we play our golf shots. You can see, I have two orange sticks lying on the ball line. I have a ball here ready to go. I also have another stick on the outside. I simply use that as a visual so I can see if my club ever gets outside the line. As we strive to sustain this line of compression, what we want to do is to make sure the golf club is planing as it comes down into the delivery part of the golf swing. As that club moves into the ball, we want to make sure that club stays on plane, down to the ball, through the ball, into the follow through. If we can keep that club planing during the delivery portions of the stroke, we can sustain the line of compression. Now, ideally, I want to maintain that planing action all the way throughout the swing. From the start up, into the upward part of the swing, during the transition, as I move into delivery, into the follow through, and up until I reach my full extension, I want to make sure that that club is planing. If I can do that, it'll make it a lot easier for me to sustain that line of compression. So what's the basic principle here? The basic principle is that one end of the club or the other has to be pointed at that ball line throughout the stroke. So when I was in college, we used to take pen lights on the bottom of the club, and we'd cut the butt end of the grip out, and we'd shove a pen light down inside the grip, and that would hold the pen light on. As we made our swings, we want to make sure that the light from that pen light stayed pointed at that target line whenever the club was pointed down towards the ground. So as the club went up, the butt of the club pointed towards the ground. And we made sure that pen light was pointing at that line until we hit parallel here, and at this point, now the bottom end would point at the line. And if we could keep those pen lights pointed at that ball line throughout the whole stroke, we knew the shaft of the club was planing. Now, today they have laser technology, and a lot of you have seen training aids with lasers out there that'll help you do this. I recommend that if you want to be good at planing your shaft and sustaining the line of compression, that you use one of those training aids. Okay, so let's get to it. The reality is that we only need to be planing that club during delivery, as we move into impact, and as we go exit into the follow through. A lot of great professionals, as you know, loop or reroute the club. However, they all get that club into the position during delivery where they can sustain that planing action, and they can sustain a line of compression as the club goes through the ball. So one of the things you can do is set up a line like this at home and practice getting that club planing as you go back and through. From your setup position, start training a takeaway where you can see that that club is pointed at that line as you go back up until the point that the club is parallel to the ground. From there, retrace that line back into the golf ball. As you go through, continue to point that club at that line as you follow through. If you can get that feeling of how that club initiates the swing on plane, transitions and returns down through delivery on plane and into your follow through on plane, you're going to have the best chance you can of sustaining that line of compression. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, as you start developing this skill, I recommend you start with small swings, just like I do. If you're comfortable sustaining that line of compression in the waist high to waist high stroke, you can go ahead and work it up a little bigger. This is how we do it. We get set up, trace that line until that club is parallel to the ground. From there, go ahead and hinge your wrists in such a way that the butt of the club still points back to the ball. Make a little pump action in your swing, return to parallel to the ground. Now from here, go ahead and trace that line through the ball into your follow through. Again, take it back to parallel. Hinge your wrist so it points at the ball line. Pump your swing, back to parallel. Now trace that line into your follow through. When you perform that drill enough times that you have a feel for how to do it, you can go ahead and play some shots with it next. As you can see, the swing's gotten a little bigger. However, the goal is still to sustain that line of compression. Our next goal is to get a feel for how to do this in a full swing. Remember, although you ideally want to keep that shaft planing throughout the whole swing, to sustain the line of compression, it's only mandatory to do it during the delivery portion of the stroke. So, to get a feel for how to do it throughout the whole swing, we get set up, move into our takeaway again, get the feel of hinging the wrist so it stays on plane. As I go up to the top, I want to imagine the butt of the club pointed at that target line. As I come back down, it points at the target line. Again, I get back to parallel, and it's parallel to the target line. From here, we trace that shaft into the ball, through the ball, into our follow through. Once you hit your full extension, you go ahead and come off of that planing action all the way up to your finish. Again, you only need to keep that shaft planing into the full extension. From there, you release your postural angles, and if that shaft comes off plane, it's okay at that point. Okay, let's go ahead and play some more full shots, trying to sustain that line of compression. When I first start training these, my image is to be a little more deliberate with it than I will be when I'm actually playing golf. By being a little bit more deliberate, I can actually pay attention to what I'm doing. Keep in mind, right now I'm training and I'm trying to develop confidence in this skill. Once I have confidence in the skill, I can go ahead and do it in regular motion. Okay, so that's how you can work on sustaining the line of compression. Okay, now that we talked about sustaining the line of compression from the down the line view, let's go ahead and talk about some of the things we can notice from the face-on view. One of the things you can work on to help get a better feeling of sustaining the line of compression is working on your impact fix feeling. When we get set up to the ball, we're in an address attitude. And that is a little bit of a different position than we are when we're moving through impact. As we move through impact, our right knee moves in through the ball, the weight's going on to the left foot, our left leg is straightening. We're getting the feeling that our body is actually moving through the ball as we're keeping the radius of that stroke down the left arm and the shaft in a straight line as we move through the ball. Now, there are a couple different ways of doing this. Some people actually will have the sense that the left side of their body is more pulling the left arm and shaft into the ball. So that's more of a body pull type of way of getting there. Some people actually get the club down in front of them a little bit more, and they feel like it's the right side of the body pushing through or driving through from behind to push through the ball. So you can do it any way that works best for you. The key is, though, is that your body has to be influencing a force on this golf club so that we have enough lag in the stroke that we can trap that ball against the club face, and we can utilize that lag to sustain that line of compression a little bit longer. So a good way of doing this is working on your impact fix drills. You get set up to the ball, you get the feeling of moving into impact fix. From there, go ahead and make your planing takeaway during the backstroke, get the feel of how you're going to trace that line, and then move back into impact fix, and then from there, trace the line in the fall through. So once again, the first thing I do is move into impact fix. From there, I trace the line going back, coming back down into impact fix. Now I have enough force that I can utilize that lag as I move through the ball to keep that ball in the club face for a long enough period of time to sustain that line of compression. And then I trace that line as I go through. Once you have a feeling of this, you can go ahead and play some shots with it again. So now you can see how my body is creating the force that generates the lag in the club head, so I can get that ball trapped, compressed, pinned against that club face as I move through the ball and trace that line, so I can sustain that line of compression for a longer period of time. So once you have a good feeling of how to trace the line so the shaft is planing, which gets you started on sustaining that line of compression, you got to learn how to start to use the body to create that lag force so that you can go ahead and keep that club face pinned on that ball as it moves through the ball and down the line. Now, some players will feel like they're actually trying to create that lag force a little bit more with their hands. Well, those are arms and hands players. In general, I coach people to be body players and see if that fits them first. They're going to have greater longevity. They're going to be able to play the game without injury for a longer period of time. However, if you're a hands player, an arms player, you may want to feel like you're doing it a little bit more with your arms and hands instead of doing it with the body. So those players get set up and they get the feeling of how the hands and arms push that club face into position. From there, they take it back, tracing that line, and then they use their arms and hands as they come down and through to create that lag force to try to trap that ball, keep that ball pinned on that club face as they follow through down the line to the target. So these are just a couple of things we can see from the face-on view to help you sustain your line of compression. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this information helps you learn how to sustain your line of compression better and helps you become a better ball striker. If you want to learn more about the New Horizons Golf Approach, please visit my website, www.newhorizonsgolf.com.